Buju Indanoy Maganadok, Anin, Kage Gabo Indishnikas, Mekanak Indudem, Mekanak Watuing and Dunjaba, Beshoga Kabakang and Danongom, Apchigo Miigwech Bizendawayeg. And what I said there was a traditional Ojibwe protocol greeting. I said hello all of my relatives. My name is Kage Gabo. I'm Turtle Clan. I'm a descendant of Turtle Mountain. I live close to Minneapolis today, and I wanted to thank all of you for listening to this live Ojibwe Word of the Day. I really look forward to doing these broadcasts. This is something I've enjoyed doing almost for a year now. So for those of you who tune in week after week, or those of you watching for the first time, Ojibwe Miigwech. Thank you very much. Ojibwe Miigwech Bizendawayeg. Thank you for listening. And tonight, I know winter officially starts next week, but there is a whole bunch of snow on the ground here where I'm at in Minnesota, close to Minneapolis. And I was thinking about star knowledge with the meteor shower that we had the other day. And one of the words that I think is really fascinating is Ojiig anang, Ojiig anang. And this is the word for the North Star, or for Polaris in English, but we call this the Fisher Star. And this word, that particular star has some other Indian names as well, but this one, the story that accompanies it is so fascinating, and this is one that I often tell in a planetarium. I work for Indian education here in Minneapolis Public Schools, and we have a portable planetarium called the Star Lab that we can project stars on this. It looks like a ууᒌᒃ. It looks like a wigwam. And it's inflated by a fan, and we can show the stars on the ceiling. And this is one of the stars that I talk about because it was so important. This was another one name for it is Ojibwe Word, which is literally the North Star. It's like the home wind star. This is how Anishinaabe were able to get home or to navigate no matter where they were at. If they could find that star, they could figure out the directions from there. So, according to elders, that's how they never got lost in the old days. And this story, this dates back to the time when animals could speak to one another. And there was a period in time, and there are also other versions of this story. One I've heard is almost like Lord of the Rings epic. Here's another version that I heard, and this is the one I share with the kids or with community members when we go into the planetarium. And it begins one year when summer didn't come back to the people. And no one knew what was going on. It was cold. It had been a long, long winter, and yet summer didn't return. Nor did the Ni-Benesse. And Ni-Benesse, that means the summer flyers. Ni-Ben for summer, and Ise to fly, the summer flyers. The migratory birds hadn't returned, bringing summer back with them. And so the animals held a council. They smoked the pipe with one another. And they were asking where were all of the summer flyers and why hadn't they brought spring and summer with them. And it was Makwa, the bear, who knows everything, who had noticed that all of the Ni-Benesse had been flying through Ojibwe. And this is an incredibly important both constellation and concept. Ojibwe is a hole in the sky, a hole in the day, a hole in the cedar. And the Ni-Benesse were flying through there. They were going to the sky world, to Ojibwe, through to the heavens. And so, obviously, they were being held captive there. And this council, I know Nagig was there, Otter, Gwingwaage, the wolverine, Bijou, the lynx, I think Gog was there, porcupine. And then there was Ojiig. And Ojiig is incredibly fast. He is a very agile, fast hunter. He is very nimble, and he is actually one of the few animals that can actually hunt and kill a porcupine. So he is incredibly talented. And they decided to go into Ojibwe to go through the hole in the day to get the Nibenase, to bring them back, to bring summer back to the people. And so what they did is they sought out the tallest cedar tree, the Ojibwe. This is an incredibly important tree too to Anishinaabe. That's a sacred tree. And they climbed the tallest Ojibwe they could find. And that led to the Ojibwe, to the hole in the day. And it was Ojiig. Ojiig was the only one who was able to climb that high and also to be able to leap into Ojibwe, into the sky world, which he did. And when he leapt through the Ojibwe, into the Ojibwe, into Ojibwe, into the heavens, he noticed Ojiig, the fisher, noticed that there was a Masabe, or a windy. The word that they use in the story could refer to both of them. A Masabe is a huge giant, literally a giant being. And a windy is a giant ice cannibal, a cannibal made of ice, yet he's a giant. And it was one of those two who were holding the Nibenase hostage. They were holding them all for themselves. And they were locked up in makakun, birch bark boxes. And so Ojiig notices these boxes, runs up to them, and starts breaking them apart. And all of a sudden the Nibenase come flying through, and with them they're bringing rain, they're bringing warm weather, they're bringing thunder, and they start flying through the Ojibwe down to earth, bringing summer, bringing the warm weather with them. And so Ojiig runs to each makak that he finds. He dashes it. Other Nibenase, other migratory birds come flying out. You know, these could be robins, these could be mong, the loons, Ojibwe, the swans, all come flying out. And then in one of them that he breaks apart, one of these birch bark makaks, Zagame comes flying out. These were the mosquitoes, so they were being held hostage too, but they flew through the Ojibwe. And once he had dashed all of them, he was going to begin making his escape. But this Masabe, this giant, had noticed that someone was releasing his birds of prey, his pets, his hostages, his captives. So he takes up his bow and his arrow, and as Ojiig is running for the Ojibwe, and as he leaps, the Masabe pulls back his bow, releases the arrow, and clips Ojiig on the tail as he's leaping through the Ojibwe towards the Ojibwe tree, towards the cedar tree. And it knocks him off balance, and he doesn't land. He doesn't get on the tree. He falls from the heavens to the earth, and he dies. He perishes. And so all of his companions who had traveled with him to bring summer back to the people so that people could survive, so that the animals could survive, they stood around him and they recounted his brave deed. And the creator, the Manadu, Kije Manadu, the kind spirit, was watching this. And the spirit reached down to where Ojiig had landed, and he took up 9 stones. And the creator threw these into the air. And there they hung aloft in the heavens, in the sky. And that became Ojibwe. That became the great fisher. And if you look at that constellation, and that was yesterday's word of the day, that constellation, you can see, if you go back to it and look, you'll see that the arrow is in the tail. That's where he got struck. But Ojiig always points towards Ojig anang, towards the North Star. And that's how Anishinaabe immortalized that name through a story. And it was, it's in a very incredibly important story. It's very poignant. It shows how a warrior is supposed to act. It shows how you're supposed to treat your fellow human beings, to be brave, to be intrepid, to go to places where that may be unfamiliar, to act with courage, with Zungide Ewen, and Kwadazuan, and with great virtue too. That's the story of Ojiig. And every culture around the world has star stories. We all share the same sky. And not a lot of our stories, I think, have been shared. So I'm so happy to have an opportunity to tell this story that I've shared with so many of our community members in the Star Lab, but now I'm doing it on on Facebook on Ojibwe Word of the Day. So at me, you piwa kidoyan. So that's all I'm going to say right now. Thank you all so much for listening. And if you know anyone who's interested in Ojibwe language, Ojibwe history, our culture, in this case, like our star stories, please feel free to like and share this video. That's all I'll say. Please, all of you, do take care. And the spirits will decide when we see each other again. Mi'u.